Welcome back to the Schlocky Horror Picture Show and Dominique is Dead, in which Jean Simmons comes back to haunt Cliff Robertson after he scares her to death. This kind of film was not new to producer Milton Subotsky, who made lots of low-budget horror films including Horror Hotel, Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, The House That Dripped Blood, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, Dr. Phibes, Doctor Who and the Daleks, and now The Screaming starts, Scream and Scream Again, and Oliver Stone's first film Seizure, which was quite a departure for Subotsky as it had nothing to do with buildings, doctors, or screaming. He also produced the Stephen King films Maximum Overdrive and Sometimes They Come Back, but his worst lapse of judgment is his version of Ray Bradbury's Martian Chronicles by the same lame director as tonight's film, Michael Anderson. Michael Anderson's science fiction projects rank amongst the worst adaptations of the genre, and I do mean rank. The 1956 version of 1984, Doc Savage, Logan's Run, Orca the Killer Whale, Millennium, and the Michael Caine version of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. His one real success was Around the World in 80 Days, but only because producer Michael Todd watched him like a hawk. The real reason you're watching Dominique tonight is not behind the camera, but in front of it, with one of the greatest international casts ever assembled for a made-for-TV movie. In fact, there are so many I can't possibly devote the time I normally would to each individual actor, but I like a challenge. Cliff Robertson, who plays David Ballard, was in 633 Squadron, Too Late the Hero, Class, Honeypot, Obsession, Brainstorm, Escape from LA, Spider-Man, Pt3 and Charlie, which garnered him the Best Actor Oscar. Cliff could be found on the small screen in Rod Brown of the Rocket Rangers, The Outer Limits, The Twilight Zone, and Batman. When not acting up a storm, Cliff relaxes by collecting vintage fighter aircraft, including a Messerschmitt Bf-108, a Supermarine Spitfire, and several Tiger Moths. And he was given the Goodwill Aviation Award by the National Transportation Safety Association. Speaking of Tiger Moths, David Tomlinson, who plays the lawyer tonight, once crashed his while on one of his regular bombing runs over local villages, for which he was given the Ill Will Aviation Award by the National Transportation Extreme Danger Association. His film career began back in 1941 with Quiet Wedding and Pimpernel Smith, and he became close friends with fellow moustache enthusiasts Errol Flynn, Peter Sellers and Walt Disney while making Mary Poppins, The Love Bug and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Tomlinson's last film was the fiendish plot of Dr. Fu Manchu, but he lived to tell the tale for the next 2 decades, unlike Peter Sellers and John LeMessurier, who passed away soon after the movie wrapped. Yes, folks, it really was that bad. Jean Simmons, who plays Dominique, was in Great Expectations, Hamlet, Blue Lagoon, So Long at the Fair, Angel Face, The Robe, The Egyptian, Guys and Dolls, The Big Country, Spartacus, and Black Narcissus. She also starred in The Happy Ending, a tale about an alcoholic wife written and directed by her then-husband Richard Brooks as a way to tell Jean that she had a drinking problem, but she couldn't take a hint and they eventually broke up. More recently, Jean co-starred with Winona Ryder and Anne Bancroft in How to Make an American Quilt and voiced the lead role of Sophie in the English version of Howl's Moving Castle. Dame Flora Robson was also in Black Narcissus, as well as Fire Over England, The Shuttered Room, Beast in the Cellar, The Lion Has Wings, We Are Not Alone, Wuthering Heights, Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, Good Time Girl, Alice in Wonderland, Murder at the Gallop, and Saraband for Dead Lovers, or, as I like to call it, music to be propped up by. She retired from the theatre in the early 70s but continued to work in film and TV, her final role being one of the blind witches in the Ray Harryhausen fantasy Clash of the Titans. Oh, it's a good night for death by celluloid embarrassment tonight. Jenny Agutter, who plays daughter Anne, was in Walkabout, Logan's Run, An American Werewolf in London, Darkman, Irina Palm, I Started Counting, Equus, China 9, Liberty 37, The Eagle Has Landed, and every version of The Railway Children you can think of. She could also be spotted in TV shows on both sides of the Atlantic, from Magnum P.I. and Murder, She Wrote to Red Dwarf and Spooks. In the 80s, she took on the seemingly impossible job of teaching Shakespeare to Los Angeles students, along with Ian McKellen, Timothy Dalton, Olivia Hussey, and the lovely Judy Geeson, who plays Marjorie in tonight's ghostly epic. There's also Ron Moody, Simon Ward, Michael Jason and Jack Warner, but I'm running out of time, so I'll have to let them fall by the wayside as we carry on regardless with Dominique.